to the I-80 Club. I-80 Live, earlier than normal day-wise, earlier than normal time-wise.
It's
Tuesday, the sun's still up. Jack, hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Very, very good. Appreciate everyone.
The sun is out. It's weird. I just finished my other show on the radio not that long ago. Wild. You too. It's crazy.
Yeah. We're moving up a little bit because of a few things. One is I have a meeting tomorrow at work, and it's the day before I'm going to Boston. And so doing a show after a meeting, first of all, it would have had to be at like 9 tomorrow and packing and all those things. So we did that. Also, we are debuting another new volleyball state pod tonight at 8:30. Perhaps you've heard of Danny Busboom Kelly, the new head coach.
I have not.
Nebraska Cornhuskers. Jack, have you heard about her before?
But sounds interesting. Not familiar, but cool.
Yep. They talked. Jeff Sheldon, Lincoln Arneal, Lincoln and Jeff spoke with her for about 45 minutes. The pod tonight's like an hour 20. And that will be dropping in your subscriber feed tonight at 8:30. Also, it will go live on YouTube at the same time, and it will go live on the Volleyball State podcast feed at the same time. Though, if you listen in the Patreon feed, there are no ads. So we highly recommend doing that. I've not had a chance, Jack, to listen in full. I know you haven't had a chance to check out anything yet. But I've listened to a little bit because I was the one who put together the clips and everything for social media. Thumbs up. Thumbs up from your boy. I think people are really going to dig this, man. I'm really going to dig this.
I'm sure it was great. I'm sure it's great. So
so that will be happening tonight. Again, that will go up at 8:30. So hang out with us for the next hour, and then check out that interview on YouTube, youtube.com/I-80 Club. Also, just a little bit of housekeeping. I knew it. I knew what I was doing there. It's D-Lo hanging out tonight. He always gives me shit for this. Coming up over the next few days. Obviously, we're on tonight, so we won't be doing a pod tomorrow. I'll be gone Saturday. It will be Jack and maybe somebody else on Saturday morning.
I texted Caleb to see if he'll do it with me.
Yeah, so
I'll start going down my list after that.
Nice. So it'll be somebody. There will be a podcast coming up on Saturday morning, usual time, usual stuff. And then next week, we're actually going to push the midweek pod to Thursday because I'll be back from Boston by then, and so we'll do a little draft watch along and hang out throughout the
I'm excited about that. We did that like our first year of the I-80 Club, I think.
Yes.
Didn't we? Or
we did.
The first spring we did a draft watch along.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll do a show where you can have the draft on, or you can just listen to us. We'll obviously react to the draft. We'll probably talk about other things. I think it's a perfect watch along thing to just to like talk while it's going on. So
exactly. So we'll have that going on because I'll be in Boston. So we'll be again tonight. Obviously, we're rolling right now. Volleyball State after us. Saturday morning coffee show.
Josh is shipping up to Boston. Some might
say. Bruce says, "What time is the marathon?" It is at 10 o'clock, which is way later, Jack, than any marathon.
Is that Monday?
It's Monday morning, 10 o'clock. That's way later than most marathons. Chicago, for example. That one started at 8. I've run marathons that start at 7. I've never done a marathon that started
I ran
at 10.
the Orlando half marathon, and it was very dark when I ran that when it started. So
was that the Disney one where it's like
Disney
midnight?
One. Yep.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't at midnight. It was early in the morning.
Okay.
It was the sun was coming up during it.
Was that a part of like the Goofy Challenge? Do you know about the Goofy Challenge?
Yep.
Okay.
There were some people who ran. I ran the half. There were some people who ran the marathon. I think the day before.
Yes, it's.
Right?
I think
or
they
the
do a
after.
5K, a 10K, a half, and a full in 4 consecutive days.
So you could get different medals. I got the half medal, but some people got the medal that said they did them all, which is crazy.
The Goofy Challenge.
So,
yeah. Nice. All right.
So just me talking, running, a few half marathons I've done, MBD, I break them down if you want to, a little more, talking about my pacing, that kind of thing if you want, but probably not going to.
My Chasing 3 Hours jacket's going on a hiatus very, very soon, but when it comes back, maybe you'll be a guest and we can chat with you about your running journey.
That'd be fun. If I ever I should get out there and get my ass in shape and run one more half marathon. Once again, that'd be good. Right after I get one of my shots in the knee for my arthritis.
Yeah, let's hope that. Yeah,
old.
Yeah, I really don't want to have arthritis. That sounds terrible.
My wife had a meniscus tear in her knee. I have arthritis. My mom had her knee replaced.
Oh God, that's a lot of knee injuries. Yeah, Matt says just get one of the Fedoni braces. Yeah, Jack, why don't you get one of the Fedoni braces?
He moved around very.
Run like a giraffe.
Do you guys think Fedoni is like? I know I'm just diving.
Are we going back to the grid? Do we need the grid on?
No, we could. But are you? I am still a little baffled by his very, very good performance at the combine. Right?
Yeah, like the metrics, like how he does metrically.
Because he looked. Did he not always look so uncomfortable moving in a way that you haven't even really seen that from a player before? Like, this isn't me about like disliking him. Oh, Caleb is unavailable. Okay, I'll figure something else out.
All right, perfect. You do one of your trivia contests that you've been thinking about doing.
Maybe. We'll see. There you go. But like, just his movements were like, I don't know if I've ever seen a player who moved as awkwardly as he did. And I always thought it was huge in part. Now, listen, if you've had your knee, you torn up your knee multiple times, I'm not surprised in some ways.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm not blaming him for it.
No.
What I don't get though is just how he just then tore it up a while later. Not tore his knee up, but tore up the combine, right?
Jack. Yeah, no pun intended there. Yeah, I don't know. It's a great question. A lot of the people who do combine stuff or former pros, like, they'll talk about how you can train for the combine. You can do your best to have good numbers, to, run a fast time. You can do all of those things where it's like you're in combine shape versus in football shape. I would also say this, and obviously I am not the world's biggest Fedoni defender. I never will be, but I don't think that he was used great in Nebraska's offense. Like that was a part of it too, right? Where they're doing these weird lateral
for sure.
passes.
They did not use it. They did not use him well at all. No, for sure. I remember there was I think I've talked about this before. There was a pass that he caught against Iowa, and I was like, that play.
You talking about this last year?
Yeah, the last game of the regular season against Iowa. I was like, that play, the way he used him there, where the hell was it? Like, if he goes and he has a good NFL career,
dude. Man.
Something went wrong there, right?
Yeah,
we've got to admit it.
Yeah,
something.
Now, do you think that will happen, or did he just have a nice combine?
I don't know. No, I mean, I tend not to, just because I think his body. Surprised. But it was it's nothing about him. It's just the way he didn't look natural. He looked like he had a hard, awkward, sort of slow time moving. Right.
Sure.
Sometimes I thought he had some issues blocking too, but maybe I was wrong. Like the combine allowed me to think maybe I was wrong about.
Well, and I mean, Matt says it. Satterfield, too obvious an answer. I mean, yeah, I guess
maybe not.
Because Jack, for a second I was going to say, what are we talking about here with him? He's been fairly pedestrian for his entire career, but how many years was he actually playing football? Did he even really play under Frost? Like, I know he got a couple of snaps at the end of 2021.
No. That was the other thing, is I just thought he was gone from football so long that it impacted his ability.
Yeah.
But it was hard to even look at him and be like, yeah, this dude was clearly one of the top few tight ends in the nation ever.
Like, wasn't that always the stuff with like a Ethan Carter, for example? Like, whoa, how did they not take advantage of Ethan Carter? He's so athletic.
Right. You could list them. Yeah, you could list them. The tight ends that looked the part. He never did.
Yes, correct. And so that's why I think that I am someone who looks at him now towards the future and say, I don't know. Like, I think I'd be very surprised, even if his metrics offensive or athletically are, and that is a surprise. You're not wrong, though. His metrics in that way were good.
I mean, I don't want to get, Kenneth mad at me or anything again, but isn't it wild how many offensive players, skill position players, have ended up performing well below what we thought they would over the course of the last 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, well, I thought you were
starting with Jeff Sims.
2 decades.
Well, but I mean, if you
so you're just wanting to narrow it to the Matt.
If you want to, but we could talk about more of it. But any offensive skill player that came in that you had high expect? Can you name what? Trey Palmer.
Trey Palmer. That's obviously pre-Matt Rule. Yeah. Oh, way above expectations. Yeah,
above. Sure. But
would we say Casey Thompson met? Was he at expectations?
Do you
think?
Anything about him. I'll make everyone mad. Okay. I'm not allowed.
His
according
eligibility
to a lawsuit that's been filed, I'm not allowed to say anything
but
about
CT11. He was what? I don't think he overperformed or underperformed. I thought Casey Thompson was pretty.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was what you would expect him to be.
Who are guys that definitely lived up to what you thought they would be or better, that are skill position players on offense in the last, I don't know, 5, 7.
What's the window?
Let's say Frost and Rule.
Frost and Rule. All right. I would say
Wandale.
I'm just going to go all the way. Yes. Wandale was the first name that came to my mind in terms of matching or exceeding expectations. I thought Wandale Robinson was very good. The knock on the Wandale Robinson era, if you will, is that he left. But he left because he didn't like how he was used, and he wanted to be a wide receiver, not a running back.
But I didn't, even at Nebraska, you saw it to some degree in him, right? Like he didn't feel like he was under. Another one I would say was J.D. Spielman.
Yes, Jack, especially because according to a variety of sources that I have, they didn't like him. The coaches didn't like him. Jack, I heard a story from somebody.
That blows my mind.
This is like early days, spring ball of 2018. So we're talking about a 7-year-old story now, right? Heard somebody who was tied in with another person on the staff. And I asked about JD. I said, wow, they probably love JD Spielman, right? Because you knew what his athleticism was. We saw him in 2017. He had the kickoff return for the touchdown, yada, yada, yada. And the person was like, no, they don't think he's good. They don't think, and I said, what? And then he ended up being good. Now, Travis says JD Spielman left after the first year of Frost. No, he did not. He was on the first 2 teams. He was on the 2018 team. And he was on the 2019 team.
I was so mad when he transferred.
And look, Jack, so here are his numbers. Wow, I forgot that as a true freshman, he had 830 receiving yards.
He was legit as hell.
Yeah, and he obviously had
and he looked the freaking part too.
Yes, he
was
did.
Fearless.
So, 55, 830, 2 tutties. He also had 73 rushing yards. Year 2, this is Frost year 1 now. 66 catches, so he's up 11, 818 yards, so he's down 12 and a half yards a catch. But Jack, 8 touchdowns. And then, so again, at this point, they don't think he is good. 2019, 49 catches, 898 yards. So his best year ever. His worst year receiving wise, most yards, biggest yards per catch easily, 18.3. And he had 5 touchdowns as well. And so, yeah. And then Matt, where did he transfer to?
And a returner, too.
And he was a returner. So, yes,
Which
very much
Nebraska also hasn't been able to get since.
Correct. Travis says, I always got the vibe that he was dealing with some mental health struggles. The coaching staff had zero patience for it. Yeah, there was also
he said he was. Yeah,
he was a part of something that happened with the Minnesota game and in 19, the weird hoodie game, the legendary hoodie game. God, I can't wait to put that one together in Groin Kick Chronicles. Yeah. Going back to the original prompt, Travis says, is Zigbo only running back in that era even close? Yeah,
Jeez. I mean, so we're all the way back to Mike Riley now.
Yeah.
We're 10 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And he, I would say, met. I don't know what I had. I don't really remember what expectations I had of him going in.
By the end of his career, I thought he exceeded expectations. I thought 2018 as Zigbo was a revelation.
He probably exceeded expectations. But I'm going to go back through a few, just to continue this last year. All right. So, Emmett Johnson, I think still, I don't know what expectations were. He's probably come close to meeting them. Maybe. I'm not sure about that. Dowdell, I don't know. I don't think so.
Absolutely not.
Ramir,
Absolutely not.
Ramir, no. Gabe Irvin Jr. obviously never did.
No.
Last year, Jamal Banks, no. Isaiah Nayor, no.
Nope.
Fidoni, we talked about, started this whole thing.
Yep. Dylan did not.
Dylan didn't.
No.
Jalen Lloyd looked like he was going to, but didn't.
Definitely did not.
Last year. Yeah. Didn't last year. Now, Ja'Cory Barney Ja'Cory Barney has.
Yes, Ja'Cory Barney definitely has.
So far. And you could say Jalen Lloyd did his freshman year too.
Sure.
On that one. So then we go back to 2023 and then take a look at the same group. Quarterback wise, Harburg, Sims obviously.
Sims is one of the most underperforming players in my time covering Nebraska football. Full stop. Any position. Any player, any position.
Yep.
Number 1.
Anthony Grant, Under.
You think so? Hey, real quick, you think so? Like, if we're talking like his whole career, right? Not just like the 23 season. Did Anthony Grant underachieve in 22 and 23? I would say he kind of met my expectations for him.
431 yards in 23, 3 touchdowns.
But the first year, he had almost 1,000.
That's in, I'm talking about, was he there in 22 also?
Yeah, that's when you called him eye test.
23, okay.
Why did we should have kept going forward.
I got him backwards. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're right. We should have done the other. We can do that. We can go the other direction.
All right, let's go back to 2019.
Yeah, you do that. I just don't. All right, so 2019 you want.
So 2019. So Wan'Dale, we said Wan'Dale. Well, it's funny, Jack. We didn't mention in 2018 Adrian Martinez. Adrian Martinez is
Martinez. I would say on balance, Martinez was about as or slightly better than advertised. Is that fair?
Great question. I don't know. I think sometimes he overperformed. I think sometimes he performed. Yeah. And I think other times he underperformed.
Yeah, you're right.
He has a very weird career because I thought as a freshman, Jack, I mean, God, thank God that you and I were not doing a podcast in 2018. Right. The idiocy that we would have put into microphones, and like I did it on my radio show, but podcasts from that era don't really exist anymore. But God, if you and I had a YouTube show, Jack, at one point I went on the radio and I said he will be a first-round draft pick. And he will only be at Nebraska for 3 years. Meanwhile, the guy played college football for 5 seasons.
Yeah.
So I would say he is
I would take all that said, given the struggles we've had since, which I think we're going to see now, I would take his level of meeting expectations.
Hey, he was better as a freshman than Dylan Raiola.
Yeah. Okay, so we're in that 2019 year. What
about Mo Washington?
Did when he played, yes.
Yeah, but he just didn't play.
Definitely did when he played. Didn't. So that wasn't the issue with him. Dedrick Mills. He had a
lot of other issues.
Dedrick Mills, no.
Definitely not. Definitely not. No.
Luke McCaffrey, no. They never figured out how to use him.
Definitely not.
Right. Let's see who else. Kanawai Noah. Remember him?
Definitely not. Yeah.
No. Yeah. There's nobody really.
Bruce says, didn't Adrian Martinez play and lose the most games at NU of all time? That sounds about right. He was a 4-year starter, and his winning percentage was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Yeah.
I mean, even like, I don't know, Noah Vedral, do you even count that? I'm not sure. Like,
I mean, yeah, in a way, you could almost say he overachieved. Like, I just wasn't expecting a lot from him. There was quite the Noah Vedral hype back then, though. I remember that very much being a thing. Mm-hmm. Very much being a thing.
All right, that's pretty much it for that roster, right?
When does Samori Toure show up? Was he a 2020 guy or was he a 2021 guy?
Must have been 2021, I believe.
Okay. Sheldon asks,
20. Yes.
Real quick, Sheldon asks, how much of this is on a consistently subpar offensive line?
Well, that's fair. I want to talk about this after we get through this part of it.
Okay.
So, 2020, Adrian Martinez, we already discussed. Mills, we discussed. McCaffrey, we discussed. Wan'Dale, we discussed. Marvin Scott III.
Gosh, I forgot about that guy.
Ramir played in 2020.
So stupid. So dumb. So dumb.
Receivers. I would say Austin Allen. Austin Allen might be a player who exceeded what I thought.
I would agree with you there. I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong about him.
Xavier Betts, another one, when he played, definitely exceeded it.
But, did he?
When he was playing, I think so, right?
Don't you think so? No, I definitely
guess, let's see, in 2020, he was only 12 receptions for 131 yards, but 2021 was the year. Well, no. What was the year when was he there in 19?
No.
20. Oh, so he's there in 21. 21, he had a solid year.
Did he?
When he got the ball, he was impressive.
What did he do in 21?
Well, I was at the Northwestern game. He had a ridiculous play in that game. When he had the ball, he looked good. Listen, he did. But I didn't think when he played. I would definitely not say he disappointed. He did not disappoint.
Well, but I mean, you're just saying like he had one good play. So I would say over the course of his career,
when they used him, he looked good. Which is not what I would say about a lot of these guys.
All right, I'll disagree though. I do not think he anywhere near met his expectations. He was a high 4-star guy. He was supposed to be awesome.
How about Vokalek? Slightly better than I expected.
Yeah, he was solid. He was a solid transfer.
Jack Stoll, I mean, better in the NFL than he was in college.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. For the most part. So I can't really let's see, that's about it. Alante Brown, thought he was going to be a lot better. Oliver Martin thought he was going to be better. Cade Warner thought he was going to be better.
Wow, these names. So many memories.
Like all these dudes, I at some point, every name I just said, I had a pretty high expectation for at one point.
Yep.
All right, I'm on to 2021 now. That's it for 2020, I think.
Yeah.
Did I miss anybody else obvious?
No. I mean, you're like looking at all the stats, so you're pretty much running down every single thing.
And then obviously Adrian's still there in 2021. Logan Smothers there as well.
Did not.
I don't know if we have anything to say about that.
No, well, he was supposed to be the next guy. He was supposed to be the next quarterback.
So I guess
very disappointing.
Ramir still there, right? 2021. He ended up getting 514 yards.
That's the season, by the way, when people always held on to hope that Emmett Johnson could be really good. It was that season, and it was the Michigan game. The night game at Memorial Stadium when he had that touchdown. Like, that's the game.
500 yards, 4.5 yards per carry.
Yeah. The promise of that game, though, he never was able to live up to it. He was never
guys who did not, Jaquez Yant, no,
definitely not.
Marquise Stepp, I had big thought. Remember USC transfer?
I'd heard some scuttlebutt going into his time in Nebraska that he had a lot of foot issues, and so I never was able to.
Savion Morrison?
No.
Remember him?
Didn't he go to Kansas?
I don't remember where he went.
He transferred to Kansas.
Okay, so 2021 receivers, leading receiver 2021, Samori Toure.
All right, Samori Toure, definitely. He was an FCS guy, right? He came from the West Coast?
Montana, right?
Yeah, he definitely.
Montana. 900 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, jeez. I would say he lived up to it. I would definitely say he lived up to it.
Yeah, for
if not exceeded. He was good. He was a legitimate. He played in the NFL.
Yeah, I think he still does. Yes. Yeah. He was a good. That was a good transfer. That was a good get.
Nice job, Scott.
Austin Allen had a pretty solid season. Only had 2 touchdowns, but 600 yards receiving that year. So I think that's fair. Here's one. Omar Manning. Man.
Definitely not. Jeez. For a variety of reasons.
Man.
But no, he did not live up to the expectations for a variety of reasons.
Then, I'm going through the rest of the receivers. Then Betts in 2021. Levi,
what did he have that year?
He had 20 catches for 286, no touchdowns catches. I know he had a rushing touchdown, but Levi Falk,
wow.
Emmett Johnson receiving, Oliver Martin, Vokalek, Chris Hickman, no.
Travis says he was talking about
Brown again.
What's his name at wide receiver? He was supposed to be the next Maurice Purify. People were so excited.
Omar Manning.
Yep. People were so 100%. Excited. Just never was able to put it together.
All right,
Adam, this discussion is depressing AF.
I know, but like
we have one more year. We're almost done now. We're
but I mean, like it isn't even that depressing. Like it, in some ways, isn't for me because it at least allows me to see like it wasn't just like devil magic that didn't work. It was guy after guy after guy that either wasn't who they thought they were. Did not give them what they thought they would get, or they didn't produce what they should have gotten from them. Sure. In some ways, that makes me, it's weird. It makes me feel a little bit better. Next year, all right, so we're in 2022 now, right?
Yeah. So now you have Scott Anthony Grant.
Yes. So you got Casey Thompson at quarterback now and Chuba.
So I would say Casey very much met his expectations. I thought that he was a solid quarterback.
Met it. Okay.
Yeah.
Anthony Grant that year did get 963 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Like I know, look, you called him eye test and D'Lo called him pink guy. Like we had those debates. Right. That was year one of the club.
He met it, right?
He at the very least he met it. You can make an argument he exceeded.
And Casey both met it. Man, second leading rusher that year. This is unbelievable. Do you know the second leading rusher of that year? Anthony Grant had 915. It was not a quarterback. It was another running back.
Oh, God. I'm trying to remember the guys who were even on the team.
You're going to be A.J. Allen.
Oh, A.J. And then he left sad.
He looked good when he played.
He did look good when he played.
He averaged 5.8 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns.
That was a big loss, we thought, when
it might have been
before Rule's first year.
Right. And then Gabe and Ramir, we already addressed them.
Yeah.
Running backs, receivers, Trey Palmer. I mean,
revelation,
the best of the best in, Touré's up there. Trey Palmer's up there.
Trey Palmer is the number one of any of the players that we have done in this exercise. Trey Palmer is number one with a bullet.
Yep.
Absolute bullet.
Receiving yards, I'm going down the list. Marcus Washington is second.
Yeah.
Vokalek again. Oliver Martin's still there at that point. Alante Brown.
Good Lord.
IGC got hurt. I mean,
yeah, that was the year, Jack. Remember he had the catch against Northwestern.
He looked great against Northwestern.
Yeah. Everyone was like, Frost has done it. He saved his job.
Dude,
and then they kicked it onside.
And Manning and Irvin and Ramir were all still on that team.
Omar was still on the team.
Yep, Manning. Yes, he was on that.
What the hell?
He was on that team. He had 4 catches.
Yikes.
Right? That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Just guys that did not work out and then they stayed. And so then where I was getting to, which is 2023 after that, of course. And so that's Harburg as a quarterback. Obviously, no. Sims, no. Right?
No.
Harburg was a leading rusher that year. Anthony Grant was second. His second year was much worse than his first.
Way worse. Yeah.
Emmett
hurt a little bit, maybe.
Yep. I think every year Emmett has kind of hit where he should. He has been right at where you hope he is, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, and so that's what makes it interesting. I know that you haven't had a chance to read a lot of the quotes that came out of the most recent practices. But dude, Sipple wrote a column today that was like, can Emmett Johnson be elite? And I'm like, okay, let's settle down. I like Emmett. I'm a part of the Emmett Johnson.
I think he just needs to make the step from
the same
kind of what we expected to slightly above, right?
Could he get to it? Like, what did he have last year? Do you have receiving and rushing numbers for Emmett?
So I'm still on 23. You want me to go to 24?
Oh, I guess you could, yeah. Because he was at
24.
close to 900 yards from scrimmage.
So last year, Emmett's numbers. I think Emmett gets a raw deal to some degree. I mean, I'll say that.
Expectations, Jack. I didn't expect this from him. Did you?
Well, I mean, I think his freshman year, the way he was talked about. So last year, rushing, he was 117 attempts for 607. Damn, he had a 5.1 average last year.
I know. See, I think he exceeded expectations.
Were you asking about receiving with him?
Yeah, I wanted to know the total yards from scrimmage.
286 receiving.
Yeah, it's 900 yards basically from scrimmage.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack,
he might be good.
How I have viewed this whole discussion,
and he was good the year before. He was pretty good too.
I haven't viewed this as going into each individual season, did they exceed it or not? I've looked at it as when Nebraska was able to land this player, how you felt in the moment, have they exceeded that expectation? Fair. Emmett Johnson.
I don't remember what I thought of him when they landed him.
But in my opinion, that's the point. We didn't even think of the guy. He was not supposed to do this.
He was not a blue chipper, right?
We weren't ever talking about him. The only reason he took over is because Anthony Grant was bad and he was injured, and Ramir Johnson was also injured, and whoever else was in front of Emmett Johnson was also injured. And so Emmett ended up just kind of being the guy, and he was very steady. And then last year, I thought that he was better than steady. Now, can he take another step? Can he become a 1,000 yard from scrimmage? Could he become a 1,000-yard rusher?
He's delivered more than any. This is crazy.
Yes,
he's not elite or anything. He's delivered more than anyone since Divine Ozigbo at that
100%.
Right?
How about that?
There you go. I mean, that is
seriously.
Isn't that crazy?
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts right now.
There's nobody, and we're going back to 2015 then, right? 2016.
Yeah. The last time a running back was able to exceed the priors of them was a Zigbo, and that was in Frost's first season.
Josh, the only reason I do this exercise and kind of get into it, and it's interesting, is sometimes we're like, it's this mystery of, and it might be the coaching, it might be the players, it might be the recruiting, but one of the reasons Nebraska sucked is they haven't had
dudes.
Offensive skill players that have done shit. Right,
Jack, we last week, what did we do? We sat down, we watched the 2010 Kansas State-Nebraska game. And what did we learn in that game? Oh, wow, they were way more talented than we remember them being. Every time we watch a game, it can be 95, Jack. It can be 2010. It can be whatever year. You and I
have not seen it.
Yeah.
That's all these old games are crazy. You almost forget that you can have multiple really good players, especially on offense, on the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think in defense, the last few years,
they've had dudes.
They've achieved that. But
they had Ty Robinson, they had Hutmaker, they had James Williams. among others.
Right.
Like they've had guys. They've absolutely had guys.
But on offense, I mean, like, man, if you want to point out one thing that has been consistent for a decade is a lack of multiple good offensive skill players.
Yeah, 100%.
Who you thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
And then even beyond that, if they were who you thought they were, I'm speaking of J.D. Spielman. I'm thinking of Marcus Washington or what's his name? Maurice Washington. I'm thinking of Wandale, right? Like just even if they
Trey
were
Palmer.
Getting them to stay or getting more than 1 year. Trey Palmer.
Well, let's apply this then to the 2025 season. Who are the most likely players that if you and I are doing this exercise in April next year, we say that
Great
guy
question.
exceeded. That guy exceeded. I think Emmett is certainly a conversation starter.
Emmett's got a chance, man. He has got it. Man, I'll tell you what, we talk about a player we do not talk about enough with this season riding on him. It is Emmett Johnson, because if he took a huge step, and like I think we can agree, even just in this conversation, as I looked at those stats, and I've kind of been a kind of a pro Emmett Johnson guy. His stats are always better than I think they are.
They are always better than
I think they are. I remember doing this last summer with him. Remember that? And I was going through and with his like yards per carry.
Correct.
And I'm like, dude, they're better than what's his name from Michigan who plays for the Rams now, right? They're better.
Corum.
Yeah, better than Blake Corum. Like they're
with nowhere near as good of an offensive line. Jack, how about this quote? This is EJ Barthel late last week on Emmett Johnson. He went from a guy who was developing in the room to now developing on the field to now progressing to now a guy he's solidified. He's at the top of his game right now. He's literally what we stand for as a program. If you look at what we talk about in recruiting and talk about trying to build a program, he's a guy that represents that.
Josh, if he's right, it's something the offense hasn't seen for a decade.
Yeah, seriously, it's since Ozigbo's last season is what it would be.
Yep.
It would be the best. It would be the best running back season since Scott Frost's first year. It's been that long.
So you continue to look at this year's. So let's talk about this sort of evaluation this year. Obviously, I mean, God, we talked around Dylan Raiola a million times, right? But obviously, if he is significantly close to what we thought he was, what we think he can be, that changes. I mean, that alone could
It's
change.
the obvious one. It's the most important. It's the most obvious. If a quarterback takes a step forward, everything changes, right? So, like, he's certainly a candidate to do this. Most certainly a candidate to do
weirdly,
this.
after this conversation, Emmett Johnson feels like the one I'm most
bullish on,
confident on, or bullish on. Yeah. Right now. You go to the wide receiver position, there's no now, Josh, I'll tell you this. When have you had a guy that you're as confident as Ja'Cory Barney as a wide receiver coming back for another year?
I was just going to say, because when we asked the question a couple of minutes ago, Matt immediately responded. He actually said Barney, Nelson, Harburg. But let's focus on Barney just for a moment longer, because Travis says if there is a player that overachieved more than Barney and was talked about less, I don't know who it is. And that's interesting, because I don't think he's wrong. I think people really like Ja'Cory Barney, and yet he is not talked about as the type of player.
People aren't like, dude's going to lead him to a great season. Right.
Yeah, why do we think that is? Is it his size? Is it he is a slight player? Is that
because we don't know what to expect from Dylan? Because he was really good last year, but it didn't make a difference.
Well, you know why too, Jack?
That's why.
So he had 55 catches for 447 yards, which is only 8.1 yards a catch. So it was odd because
they throw him all those short ass throws.
Correct.
I mean, come on. Yeah.
It just didn't seem like they could always use him as well as we would like them to. How much of that is on him? I don't think. I think it's on the play caller that he had the majority of the year and the quarterback that was injured throughout the majority of the year. He also, by the way, had 10 carries for 130 yards. He scored all of his touchdowns last season on the ground, oddly enough. Travis says, is he smaller than Palmer or Spielman? Yes. He's only 170 pounds. He's super skinny.
Trey Palmer smaller than Palmer.
Yeah, Trey Palmer is super thick. JD's a little thicker too.
Was there so many of those receivers we talked about that had good years, especially in the last 5, were transfers, right? Toure coming in as a transfer, Palmer coming in as a transfer.
Yeah.
It's probably not since J.D. Spielman where you've had a receiver.
Like a returning guy?
Returning guy. I mean, maybe we
JD
felt that way about
Stanley
Lloyd last
him.
year. I mean, maybe we felt that way some way about Lloyd, but
We did, but man, we were way wrong on that. Yeah. And that was so much based off of like the smallest of sample sizes, right?
I mean, let's say this is that he had a more productive season last year than Lloyd did 2 years ago.
Yeah. Lloyd had bigger plays, but Lloyd was nowhere near as consistent on a game-to-game basis. And Jack, like, look, if we want to stick with the receivers too, a player that needs to be good, if they're going to be good, is Dane Key. You know, they bring this guy in. Of course. His wide receiver coach comes in from Kentucky. You know, like he is, you know, you just mentioned all those wide receivers that they have brought in via the portal. He is this year's iteration of that portal. But
I mean, the answer to all these questions we have is when this freaking thing turns around is when you have multiple guys in a single year that are at or above, you know, where you think or hope they will be. Right. Yeah. It's such an obvious thing to say, but in some ways it's not, because you go back and the problem was over and over, as we just displayed, is that there were just tons of guys every year that weren't there for whatever reason. And it might have been their fault. It might have been the coach's fault. It might have been whatever, injuries. There's a million reasons on all of them, but they've got to have a year with specifically offensive skill positions, in my opinion, right? Where you hit on 4, 5, 6 guys.
Yeah.
That's when it turns around to me.
Bruce says we need Cortez to be Barney this year. Yeah, the Cortez Mills discussion has been very interesting lately. People seem to be pretty bullish on him as well. What do you think about, I want to go back a little bit to the other names that Matt mentioned as obvious candidates or potential candidates to take a step forward. So you mentioned Barney, of course.
Okay.
Carter Nelson, Heinrich Harburg. What do we think about those two guys?
I have no idea I have no idea on either of them, to be honest. Right?
Yeah.
Like, of the two, the one I'm more confident in is Carter Nelson.
Yeah. For this year or for the whole career?
Both.
Okay.
But he has more time.
Yeah.
But I saw enough in the little bit I saw from him where I was like, damn. Like, he is big, and the way he moves, just like, you know, the whole eye test thing. I caught enough of that with him, and I had no idea how he was going to make that adaptation from where he played in high school to where he played in college. And there was nothing I saw that I was disappointed by with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a true freshman, like,
Jack, I still remember,
like, I think
you and
he's
I
going to
talking about
take
it
a
after
jump
the
like
UTEP
crazy.
Game. Yeah. I remember, Jack, you and I was in a hotel in Evanston, Illinois. And I remember you and I doing that post-game show on that first Saturday. And there was one play that he had. It's like this catch, but he accelerated in a very specific way. And a friend from college reached out to me, and he's like, hey, what play are you talking about? Like, could you send it to me? And I sent it to him, and I was like, you know, Jack, and I don't know what it was, but that one play really kind of grabbed us.
100%. There a couple of plays that now Bruce points out he's got this injury, and I don't know how that plays into it. Of course, that could screw it.
Well, there was the report from what's his name, the Rivals guy, who was like, it wouldn't surprise me if he didn't play at all this year. Like, yeah, there is some of that just devastating.
But
hey, what do you think of this Travis comment? Harburg is the biggest wild card? ? I think that fits. Like, Jack, you talk to some people that cover the program or inside the program, and they are like way in on Harburg being a good tight end. Like, they think that guy could be a true difference maker. Not just he's athletic, but they think he can be an actual impact tight end. And I find that very interesting because, again, he was a quarterback throughout, you know, high school into early college. He starts the Matt Rule tenure at tight end. Jeff Sims gets hurt and is horrible, so he then becomes a quarterback. He backs up Raiola last year, occasionally plays tight end, then moves to tight end for the bowl game, and now that's what he's doing full-time. He's an athletic freak. He is absolutely an athletic freak, but, like, you know, there is still the part of, like, do you know how to do the job of being a tight end?
And if I honestly think there's still a part of me that wonders why they didn't use him more that way last year, a little bit, but I don't know. I'm not super confident in that, but I'm not ruling it out either. With him, but I feel like I've seen more from Carter Nelson where I'm like, damn, he could be, you know, just those little bits. And I hope I'm not disappointed again, because I have been many times with these sorts of things.
The whole exercise tonight has been being about disappointed.
Yeah, like, seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. Other guys who are on going through this offense. What other receivers do we need to talk? Dane Key, you mentioned, but
Dane
obviously
Key.
if
Dane
you can
Key,
get
Mills and
listen,
Barney.
if you can get Barney to be what he, being what he was last year, and Dane Key hitting, if you just had those two, it probably is still better than you've been at that position in all the years that we just looked at.
100%. Yeah, if Dane Key's able to match or better his production in Kentucky, and Barney gets a little bit better than what he was last year, like you're talking about a wide receiver room that is suddenly like better than it was in 2024 by far. I think, Jack, man, the more I've been thinking about this all day long. I think the more that we talk this stuff out and that I look at the team, in a way, I almost wonder if Emmett Johnson is like the key to the success of the program in 2025.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
It just doesn't seem like so important.
If he can, if he is that guy that we were just talking about, and his coaches seem to maybe think that Barthel thought he was, maybe. Yeah, but that's kind of it, right? I don't know anything about, I have no idea if Cortez Mills. I wouldn't have anything knowledgeable to say about him or any of the rest of the guys in the Isaiah Hunter, whatever. I don't know. It'd be great. Man, wouldn't it be great, Josh? That's the other thing is has anyone come up at receiver out of just nowhere, right? And just been maybe Barney, but
I was going to say, how do we
has anybody that's the other thing. You not only do not have guys who are doing what you were hoping they would. You don't have a whole ton of guys coming up out of nowhere and being like, damn, oh, wow, he was really good. I didn't expect that.
Some other names that we've not mentioned tonight. I'm looking at our lads. They have a depth chart, which is
our
really,
lads.
Our lads.
It's our lads.
It's very handy for April.
I use it all the time. I was using it a ton.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So, okay, a couple names we have not mentioned. Janiron Bonner. The wide receiver, tight end, fullback that's always available. Luke Lindenmeyer.
Where was he last year? Did
he score? Didn't he score a touchdown or something like that last year?
I love it. It'd be love it. I have no.
Quentin Ives, a player that people are bullish on, and
of the three you just mentioned, he's got the highest potential upside that I'm not aware of. But
yeah, I'm going to hold on that.
And they've said a lot of good things about him, but you can understand why nobody believes it.
Demetrius
He was a guy who hurt himself in the spring, right? I have no idea,
Isaiah Mosey.
Yeah, put him with Cortez Mills. I have no idea.
And obviously Dylan. I mean, we hit on Dylan for 5 seconds, but of course he is, he is, I know maybe we're getting a little too cute, right? The season is decided by Emmett Johnson. No, you idiot. The season is decided by Dylan Raiola. Period. End of story. That's what's going to make or break Nebraska football. It's not going to be Emmett Johnson. It's going to be Dylan Raiola.
If Dylan gets close to what we hoped he would be, Emmett Johnson has another step forward, and Dane Key is what we expect him to be. The offense is going to be better than it's been in a long-ass time. That I'll tell you.
Yeah. Matt says, do you think it's true that Rule doesn't value the running back position, and so he's fine with being just okay at running back?
That's interesting. I don't know.
So here's why I don't think that that's true, mainly because why wouldn't you want to be – I just don't understand, Jack, deciding we want to be okay.
Unless it's just about money or something,
Thank you. Yeah. In terms of roster value and allocation of funds.
Which NFL teams do that all the time. So
correct. But I think that they have been bad at recruiting it. So I don't think it's that. I guess I am confused. And maybe it's just all bluster with how he has talked about the running back room over the last couple of months. But that they seem okay with this running back room. Maybe Emmett Johnson's going to be the truth and Quentin Ives is good, but I just am like, yeesh. I can't believe they wouldn't want to try somebody.
To me, it's just the depth. Yeah, it's the lack of proven depth. Yeah. And they may be high on Quentin Ives and he may be great, but they've got nobody besides Emmett who's proven at all, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist right now.
No, they really don't
on the roster, and I can't believe you'd want to go into a season without that.
That's the thing. I just don't know why. Jack, let's say that everything you and I discussed earlier about Emmett Johnson is correct. That he is going to be that good of a player. You still want something else behind him, though. I
don't get it, man. I will never get it.
Last year's Emmett Johnson as this year's number 2 running back is what you would want.
Correct.
You would want
correct.
that.
And they make sure at every other position that they have that guy, right?
Correct.
At every other position, they're like, we got to get that guy, right? We got to get the transfer starter, that kind of thing. And they have at receiver for years, or tried to, at least.
Sure. D'Lo says weaknesses appear to be D-line and running game. That's 6-6 in the conference. See, I don't even know if I would say the running game is going to be a weakness. I just don't think the depth is there. I think, and you and I talked about earlier, I think Emmett Johnson could have a really good season. I think Travis puts it well, though. Is D-line a weakness or just the biggest question mark? Yeah, it's going to be new starters that are going to be.
Yeah, I'll never forget 2 years ago, we thought D-line was
going to suck.
We thought it was the worst position on the team. And absolutely, how often does that happen?
Yeah,
right.
That was insane how far off we all were going into that year.
Right. Who's getting the first down on 3rd and 3? That's a great question. It's Emmett.
I don't know why it can't be Emmett Johnson. Have I talked myself into Emmett Johnson now too much by the end of this pod? I feel like I'm way too positive now about him. I'm Emmett Johnson.
I think it's a fair point that he has been better in both of his 2 years than we think he has.
He has improved.
He has been, not only has he improved, but I think our assessment, or at least I won't speak from anyone else, but I look at his numbers and they're always better than I think. Both years, they're better than I thought they were.
Yeah, that's true.
He doesn't fumble, knock on wood. But he doesn't really fumble.
I think the way you just described it, Jack, I like that. It's not just that the numbers have improved, but he is better than we remember him being when you like look back at everything.
Does he pass the eye test? No, he doesn't. That's the thing.
Yeah, he's really solid.
I think eye test passed the eye test, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
he also passed the dance test. That guy loved dancing in the backfield. I never felt older than when I was like, just run forward, Anthony.
Let me ask you this. So I test Anthony came from one specific run that he had in that game years ago. Can anybody name one Emmett Johnson run they remember?
No, I cannot.
Not a one.
I got nothing for you.
Nope.
Yeah. He's just an unmemorable, solid running back. He really is. There's nothing special about him. But you know what? The program hasn't had a memorable running back in a while that can break off a big carry. Like, it just hasn't been around here a whole lot lately.
No. So
do we
I don't know,
but
man,
feeling better about the offense or worse or the exact same?
I don't feel worse because it feels like it's the streak of missing on guys or having guys not play up to their potential is it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that it could keep going and you could keep missing, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, if you have Emmett play like Emmett has the last 2 years, if you have Dylan move a little bit better, and you have Danke being who he is, and if Harburg or Carter Nelson, or if one of those guys, right, is as good as advertised, like, it's going to be a significant improvement on the offense, to be honest.
Yeah. And look, I know we've said his name in passing a handful of times tonight, but Dana Holgerson's calling plays.
And Holgerson's calling plays.
We'll go the Oko. He's going to be calling plays, and I think that could end up being, again, obvious statement. But if he's as good as he's
carries a game for Emmett, that's a good question. How many carries a game?
What did he have last year?
I'm just going to look last year because now I'm interested. And again, you had Ramir, and it was kind of a weird deal last year.
At 117 carries.
117 carries, and
they played 13. That's nine carries on the dot per game. 9 on the dot per game. And if you go, let me pull it up. If you go individual games, you go game by game to see, like, okay, was there a trend? Jack, from game 1 against UTEP until the UCLA game that they lost, he only had one game with double-digit carries. He had 14 versus Rutgers. And then Dana Holgerson became his play caller. You ready for this? 10 carries, 16 carries, 18 carries, 15 carries.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Dude, that is interesting.
He showed up and he rushed 10 for 55, 16 for 113, 18 for 71, 15 for 75.
In theory, there should be so many Husker fans who have said, find the hot hand, run him over and over again, that should be happy with that potential.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
14
Yeah, seriously.
carries.
He had a game with he only had one carry against Colorado. And by the end of the year, he's carrying, 33, 49, 59 carries. He had 15 carries basically per game, Jack, starting when Holgerson was the offensive coordinator.
Wow.
Yeah, Matt, maybe that's why they're so high on him, because Holgo said, why the hell isn't this guy playing more?
And yet he ended up with a 5.1 average during the year.
Basically all because of the end of the season stuff. It's all because of what happened at the end of the season.
7-1 against Wisconsin, 113 yards. And that's the other thing about him. He never tears off long runs, right?
No, yeah. That, and in a way,
he doesn't get anything over 30 yards ever. I don't think he has in his career.
And it's funny. No, he had a 42-yarder against UTEP in the opener. But like, Jack, there's a part of me that thinks
it says the longest 5 on the thing you just posted.
What? What are you looking
at? I'm looking at receiving. My bad.
Okay, yeah. I was like, what the hell? Also, the long receiving was 29. So I'm very confused by what you're looking at there.
I said nothing over 30 because I was looking at receiving.
Oh, I see what you mean. But Jack, in a way, and maybe this is an idiotic statement, I kind of like that about him because it shows that his runs aren't fake. That he's like
his stats aren't inflated.
Yeah,
and they're still better than we think they're going to be. That's probably why they are better than we think they're going to be, Josh. Because they're consistent and not flashy.
Yeah. Jeff, long runs are good, actually. Yes, they are. Yeah, I'm not going to argue that. Like, you know what? I actually like that he doesn't break.
And they got to have somebody.
Like,
they got to have somebody else who can get those. To be honest,
floor.
And that's why we keep talking about depth.
Yeah, I like his floor. D'Lo says, "What's a good year for him yard-wise?"
Great question.
That says 950. I said 800 to 1,000. I think somewhere in that band. And
what
I think
did he have pretty good. What did we just say he had last year?
600 last year, but if you add the receiving in, he had about 900.
Yeah, but rushing. So the question was on rushing.
Can
I
agree. Get up to 800 this year? I think he could.
I think you should have 1,000.
All right, let me do a little bit of math real fast.
I think you should have 1,000.
All right, 55, 113, 70. Okay, so if you just look at the last 5 games, again, this is Holgo as the OCO. You divide that by 4. He averaged 78.5 yards a game. If that Jack got to 12, he would be 942.
Yep.
942 yards.
No, yeah. 1,000, close to 1,000. That's the number for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Like when we were doing that thing, we were talking about doing that thing like Nebraska has a good season if Emmett Johnson runs for 1,000 yards. Yes.
Definitely.
There you go.
Yeah. I think we honestly, like, this ended up being a much more running back forward conversation tonight than anything else. But I know that Jack and I have talked about doing some like position by position discussions over the course of the next few months as a way to honestly get to know the roster better because of all the new players, but just to kind of, it's always good to maybe figure out what players need to do or what the position groups need to do if the team is going to be successful. I very much think we figured it out, mainly with him, but with the running back room as well. What would be if he can, Jack, let's say he can get close to 1,000, the number 2 running back, what do they need from Ives? What would they need from Quentin Ives? Or the number 2 running back in general?
Big plays. I don't even have a yard number. It's big plays.
Yeah.
Would be what I think. But if you got 1,000, when was the last time Nebraska had 1,000-yard rusher?
Zigbo in 2018. Okay. It was Frost's first year. And most of those yards were at the end of the season.
He had some massive games at the end of the year, too.
Correct.
Right? Against Minnesota.
He was the 4th stringer in the opener against Colorado. And by the end of the year, he's leading the team. He had close to 200 yards in a game, I think.
Mm-hmm. Did Grant get it? 1,000? No, I don't think Grant got 1,000, did he?
No, remember he was around 900. He missed it because he played like shit against Iowa.
Jeez, yeah.
That's guy.
Okay, yeah. Okay, Emmett Johnson. If you tell me that, Emmett Johnson definitely needs 1,000 this year.
Yeah. Sheldon says, could you get 5
D'Lo says that'll put
longer than 25 yards? That'd be nice.
Yeah, no
What does D'Lo say?
He said if Emmett Johnson goes for 1,000, Nebraska's making the New Year's Day Bowl.
Well, Jack,
yeah, I suppose they were close enough to that anyway last year.
Yeah, I asked it of Sipple today. I said, hey, if you're right and he's elite, like, what are we talking about? Like, that's a team that's probably in the playoff mix. I'm serious. Like, if he can be that, now can he? That's hard.
Dang. Did we just talk ourselves into
we're back? Jack,
Emmett Johnson, back. Being a key and also Emmett Johnson being awesome?
There you go. I think we just did that on the show.
I think I might have done that a little.
I think we just solved everything. World hunger coming up next. Nebraska's run game to start, and then we'll see what else we can do in the entire world moving forward. That was fun.
Yeah, well, that's football discussion. I love that's the kind of football discussion I like.
Yeah, look at that. Player first. No coaches. All players.
I didn't think EJ Barthel would be here. Barthel.
Dude, me neither.
Which that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But and then there's the whole question too, is we went through these players individually, but how much was their lack of hitting their potential, or at least their expected potential, due to the coaches and due to them, and where's the balance of that sit? So
Matt says, how do you like that, Ken? That's how you pull out of a tailspin. Yeah, hopefully emailer Ken checked out this episode, because now he'll be like, whoa, these guys are the most positive people of all time. They're talking themselves into Nebraska making the playoff.
But I mean, in all seriousness, they don't need a ton from this offense to make a significant. It's been so bad. They don't need a ton.
D'Lo, EJ hurt in the first series.
That would be bad. That's why you need
Octavian.
depth. By the way, that is why I would still say they should. It's ridiculous not to. I mean, he makes actually a good point. If he would get hurt, they're so screwed. They're screwed if he gets hurt.
Yeah.
Why they don't have more depth there, I do not know. I do not know. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. Strange. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Quentin Ives is solid. I hope Mekhi Becton, I hope those guys are the real deal. But
should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jack, you are back with Caleb.
Caleb's going to be in Ainsworth. I don't know what I'm doing.
All right, well, Jack will do something. Jack will do something on Saturday. For those who are not hanging out here earlier, Jack will be without me because I'll be in Boston over the weekend. Hope that you join us. If you have been watching this episode after the fact, once it goes outside of the paywall, we would love to have you. Patreon.com/I-80 Club. Jack and I have been putting together our summer plans. We actually, as we are logging off here, we're going to have another meeting to discuss some stuff. And so we are putting together our summer plans. We have a ton of stuff going, including multiple new episodes of Be Kind Husker Rewind. If you missed out on the Kansas State watch along and then edit that Matt did, please go check it out.
I rewatched like
so
half
badass.
of it for no reason at all the other day.
Yeah, I got a text from a friend who was watching. He was like, I listened to the episode, but now I am watching the episode. Yeah. So shout out to Dave.
Well, which I can't believe people liked it because I misnamed like 4 players in the first 15 minutes of it, which is amazing.
Good time.
Sheldon Quarles, who's not a Kansas State player, and Chase Kaufman, who's not whatever. Apologies for that. But
yeah, so go check that out. Subscribe, like, and subscribe to the I-80 Club on YouTube. It very much helps us keep the lights on. But if you would like to help us even more, the best place to do so is at patreon.com/I-80 Club. We have a variety of tiers. You can get just the pods. You can get pods and access to our Discord server. If you're a volleyball fan, there is no better place, Jack, to go than
now's the time right now.
Yeah, because as we get ready to sign off in a half hour, Danny Busboom Kelly, the interview that they did with her will go up 8:30 tonight, Tuesday. So we hope that you check that one out. I'm pretty sure, Jack,
Club
this is
going up on a Tuesday.
Is this the first interview she has done? This is an exclusive interview on the
Really? She's been on Sports Nightly or something, right?
That's propaganda. I'm talking about out in the streets.
It's the first interview she's done, actually, ever. It's amazing.
Yes,
we got
literally the first time. Literally the first time of all time. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. They're doing a freaking. Listen, Lincoln and Josh are doing a bang up freaking job on Jeff are doing a bang.
You can give me some credit too. I'm helping them out. I'm doing the.
You're doing a great job with it too.
Thank you.
But their shows are great. They're gonna blow this thing up in the fall. We're really excited to.
Yeah, and that's why we're gonna sign off because they were. We got to talk about some of the.
Oh, Matt says Jeff and Lincoln need to give you some tips. Thanks for that.
About what? About it? Getting Danny Busboom Kelly on? I don't think we'll be doing that. All right, Jack. This was fun.
All right. See you guys later. Thank you. That was fun. Everybody. Great discussion, everybody. Yeah. It was really good. It's almost football season.
Bye-bye.